Right, so we seem to be streaming on whatnot. Yeah, okay, running a bit late. You're probably there on YouTube. Going to be starting in about 10 minutes time, folks. 7:15 GMT. Sorry about this. Just got one or two new aspects to the show today, tech-wise, which are proving to be a bit of a pain in the arse, to be honest with you. So what can you do? So anyway, yeah, won't be long, guys. Won't be long. Just bear with us. And if you're watching an archive version, then you might want to fast forward a bit, because this clearly is pretty tedious to watch. So anyway, yeah, give us a mo. All right, okay. 7:15. Oh, nothing is working properly here. 7:15, people. Oh, blimey, I don't know what's going on with bloody D-Live. D-Live is being a pain tonight. If you're watching on YouTube, well, at least you can. You can't on D-Live, not tonight, by the looks of it. I don't know why it's being such a pain in the... What a joke. What's going on with D-Live? It's not their fault. It's local, I'm sure. I'm sure it's local. What I'd like to do is to set this speed up completely fresh, and it won't let me. Come on. Come on. Don't be a pain. Just connect. Why are you not connecting tonight? What a joke. What a joke. What a joke. Okay, all right. Looks like we're going to get Facebook sorted out. No D-Live tonight. No D-Live. What a pain. So if you're watching on YouTube and wondering where the show is, what's going on, why you're just getting a bit of background music, it's because I've had problems with D-Live that I simulcast to. And I am trying to work that out. In fact, I've given up on D-Live tonight. It's being too much of a pain. I don't think it's them. I think it's me. I think it's my rig anyway. So, what can you do? But anyway, folks, yeah, going to be on YouTube and Facebook in about 7 minutes' time. So in the meantime, enjoy the music. Hey folks, coming up in about 5 minutes time. Yeah, all right, running a bit late today. Just running a little bit late, folks. 15 people. Okay. Oh. Do-do-do-do. Running a bit late tonight, folks. Some technical problems. Technical problems tonight, I'm afraid. On a bunch of levels. Having a nightmare here. So anyway, bear with me, people. See what we can do. Winging it a bit. Yeah, running a bit late, folks. You might have noticed. Yeah, about 7:15. Yeah, tell you, don't know. My rig is being a real problem. Maybe it just needed a reboot. Actually, I suppose that is possible. No D-Live tonight. No D-Live, I'm afraid. It didn't want to connect the stream. That's one of the reasons I'm late. It's not the only reason, actually. There's a few reasons. But anyway, okay. In the meantime, some pretty awful music for you. In fact, that's terrible. Let's put something else on. Okay. Yeah, all right, okay. We'll get there, people. Oh, blimey. Screwed. Carry on, Connelly, bloody hell, Simon, I'll tell you what. I'm having a bloody nightmare tonight. It's like trying to get Brexit, I tell you. I wasn't washing my bloody hair. Oh, yeah. Oh, what a nightmare. Couple of minutes, people. Can you guys hear me on Jitsi? Can you hear me on Jitsi?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
God bless you. Blimey, I tell you. Okay, at least that's working. I tell you what. D-Live isn't working. I think it's my fault, but anyway, never mind. Probably. Hey folks on YouTube and on Facebook, you've been very patient. God bless you. On D-Live, I don't know. They're probably wondering. I don't know. Then I'm not connected to D-Live at all. But what can you do? That is just awful music. Awful. I can't listen to that a second longer. Blimey. I tell you just can't get the copyright-free music. Do you know what I mean? Oh yeah. It's more like it. Oh, Struth. What's that then? What's going on there? That just cut out. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's just get the thing on the bloody road. Jeez, I'll tell you what. Evening all. Good evening, good people, and welcome to the daily very chaotic, running 16 minutes late. And now, a great British cover-up. Never mind a great British scandal. I tell you, a great drama. But why does fakestream prioritise the Jeremy Thorpe case as entertainment when what it was and what it remains is a case of the British establishment being complicit in covering up the attempted assassination of a British citizen to protect one of its own? I wrote that sentence in a hurry. Aye. You can call in using Discord as usual, guv.li/rant. That's how I feel. Or a new and a hopefully easier way to call in, just navigating to guv.li123. That's using Jitsi. Let's try that. We've got a few folks on there already. No D-Live tonight. I don't know what happened there. I wouldn't connect the stream. I think it was my fault. And we'll see you in the comments. If you want to bung us a beer, big cheers, please do. That's using paypal.me/Brexit. Okay, all right. Okay, let's have a bit of a roll call first of all. So, who have we got on Jitsi here then? We got a few folks, yeah? We got Michael O there.
Hello.
Michael, good evening, sir. Yeah, and looking forward to hearing your take on things. Ex-cop, ex-MOD. Who else have we got? We got Stav, yeah?
Hey, how's it going, Ollie? All right?
God bless you, man. Yeah. A little bit stressed, to be honest with you, but I'll cool down in a sec. And we got Jeff.
Afternoon, Ollie.
Oh, blimey. Good evening, mate. Good evening. I'll tell you, it's truth. Okay. I suppose we should start with the news. Should we have a quick look? See what's going on? What is the big story for you guys? What's the big story for you today, Jeff?
Big story for me? What do you mean?
I don't know. The news. We always start with the news, don't we?
Oh, the news? I don't know. But if you want, I've got the article up about the article you want to cover on Wikipedia, if you want me to read that out.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. We'll just cover a bit of what's going on, and then we'll okay. So there you go. That's the right. Okay, let's have a look. See what the papers are talking about. Builder graph: visa cap on foreign doctors to be lifted. May is to ease curbs on medics from outside the EU after the NHS warned of staff shortages. I don't know if any of you gents, I don't think we've got any ladies on here yet, want to comment on this, but it beggars belief to me that we don't train our own staff. We got a load of folks that in the UK, I would have thought that give them a bit of incentive, they would like to be trained up to be a nurse or to be a junior doctor or what have you, instead of us always relying on foreign staff. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with foreign nurses and doctors and what have you, but charity begins at home. Why are we prioritizing always bringing in, folks from outside of the UK instead of training up our own? Is that done on purpose? Are they deliberately trying to weaken our workforce that we have to import? Is my query. Anybody want to comment on that?
Well, I would say I was unfortunate. I would say I was unfortunate or fortunate to be hospitalised in the 60s and then to be hospitalised in the late 90s. And there's a big difference between the two, Ollie, on the way the hospitals were run, the staff, etc., as you can imagine. And one thing I did notice about the hospitals in the 60s were very, very, very much run like the military, with the matrons and everything, and visitors couldn't stay very long, and only your mum and dad could come and see you for an hour every day if they were lucky. The rest of the family couldn't come once a week. There was no sitting on beds and all that business, and places seemed very much clinically cleaner in those days than what my nasty experience. I almost died in the late 1990s, so there we are.
Do you think that the NHS, I don't know. I mean, I just don't understand. What about anybody else want to comment on why we seem to import medical staff as opposed to training up our own?
Right. Where I am, I mean, we've got the...
That's Michael O.
We've got the largest general and teaching hospital in Europe. Now, we get a lot of doctors coming in from Eastern Europe, the Asian subcontinent, and yeah, some of them are excellent. I mean, we've had a lot of Romanian doctors come in, neurologists, cardiologists, and I think we also have a Bulgarian senior dermatologist. They're all excellent doctors. I mean, I was taken in as an emergency one back about 4 years ago. And I was waiting to be seen by the consultant, and in comes this young cardiologist. He was Romanian, called Mario, and he was going to do a cardioversion on somebody. Now, if you don't know what cardioversion is, it's where you're given a blast with a cardiac defibrillator where you're still conscious. And it's often because your heart is racing, what they call supraventricular tachycardia, and they need to shock the heart back into a normal sinus rhythm, so it's going at less than 100 beats per minute. And it sounded like something off that Stav character that what's his name used to do, Harry Enfield. But
what loads of money? No.
No, not loads of money. You know, the kebab shop owner.
Yeah.
But he sounded a bit like that. But by golly, he was a damn good doctor and a neurologist. When my mother was alive, she suffered with vascular dementia. And one of the problems with that was she kept getting a lot of these mini strokes. So we took her up to see the neurologist, and it was this young guy called Vincenzo, who's a registrar, and he was Romanian. And she had a mini stroke right under his nose. My golly, he had her down in A&E within about 5 minutes. But it was the first time he'd ever seen somebody have one of these TIAs. They say the chances of a doctor seeing one of these is very, very rare, and he happened to see it right as it was happening.
What's a TIA?
Sorry?
TIA? What's that?
TIA is a transient ischemic attack. It's another name for a mini stroke.
Right. Okay.
But a couple of, I think it was about 12 months ago, I broke a bone in my foot, My first visit to the fracture clinic, there was a young registrar called Maria. She was Romanian. She was an orthopedic registrar. She comes in and she sounded like Olga of hello, hello. Right, what is wrong? And as she softened a bit, yeah, you could hear the Romanian coming out. It's not actually an East European language. It's an old Italian dialect, because Romania is made up of 3 former counties of Italy. And we've got a big, where I am, we've got quite a big Romanian community, and they're quite pleasant people, a lot of them, very clever people. But with the size of the hospital we've got, I mean, yeah, we have got a lot of East Europeans and also Germans. And yeah, we've got some of the top people there, and yeah, they're welcome. We've got no problem with them.
We've got James Gore on Discord, and everybody else is on Jitsi. James, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, James, how are you?
I've got some news. I've read this up. The Queen's coming to my hometown, and I know how to get Tommy out. I'm going to do a writ of habeas corpus. Try and get the Queen to sign it. I've got to try.
Mate.
And about the medical side of things as well. They should be trained in homeopathical remedies, because they've been proven time and time again that the homeopathical remedies have been known to cure the likes of cancer, even coughs, colds, any type of inhumane disease. Homeopathical overrules these little pharmaceuticals that kill people. Do you know chemotherapy has a 97 failure rate?
Hey, what? What's got a 97?
Yeah, 97 failure rate.
Chemotherapy.
Yep.
Yeah, I tell you, I don't know.
I've got a duty, so I'll be busy all week writing this writ for habeas corpus, and you can just go to the prison for it and get him out.
Right, okay, hold on a sec. Hold on, James. What's the habeas corpus got to do with chemotherapy? Sorry, I'm confused.
No.
You're flitting about,
didn't I?
You're flitting about, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Just to be clear there. Look, can you guys hear James clearly on Jitsi? And James, could you hear those guys clearly before?
Yeah, I can hear them.
Without any echo?
I can hear James fine, Ollie.
No echo?
I can hear him as well.
This is awesome.
Hello,
this
everybody.
Is interesting, This is interesting. Hello, if anybody wants to call in, just, guv.li/123. It might just be a lot easier than using Discord for call-ins. Incredible. Anyway, look, a couple of other stories, yeah. In The Guardian, yeah, police facing surge in extremists released from jail. Analysis finds. What a bloody surprise, huh? What a bloody surprise.
Ollie, I could send you that link right now if you want. The Queen coming to my hometown.
No, just confuse me, man. I'm having such a technical nightmare as it is. I tell you, my head is throbbing already.
Right, carry on.
I'll tell you what, though. No, do send it. No, do send it. No, do send it. Send it, and I'll try and look at it. And
right.
Yeah, cool. Okay, yeah. I mean, this is hardly a surprise, is it? Police facing surge in extremists released from jail. Well, it's hardly surprising, because when you go to prison, what do? You conspire or whatever. You talk to other inmates about whatever your common interest is. And if these jails, as is the case, are full of these kind of these Islamists or whatever, then guess what? They're stoking up this extremism more and more. They're more annoyed at the UK probably because they're inside, and so it's a vicious circle, isn't it? Guess what? They come out and they're more stoked up for violence or God knows what. Surprise, bloody surprise, I tell you what. Anyway, Metro, major shift in the war on terror. The Home Secretary unveils a strategy. This is the bloke that swears on the Quran, yeah? Who's going to be maybe the next PM, yeah? Unbelievable. Sajid Javid will unveil an overhaul of Britain's anti-terror strategy today as he warns of a step change in the threat posed by extremists. And that print is absolutely tiny. I can barely read it. Anyway, but we'll maybe come back to that story. The Times secret files prove Iran is trying to build a bomb. That's according to Israel. Guess what? Yeah, I mean, it's truth. I mean, what else are they going to say? Ministers publicly defy May on 2 key policies. I tell you, I'm just so fed up of the rhetoric, aren't you? Fed up of the rhetoric? Just get on with Brexit. Oh,
absolutely. Well, get that message read in your inbox on Discord.
Daily Express, Sexpress, Britain faces summer of knife mayhem, which basically comes back to the same story as coming out of prison being more extreme and God knows what. MPs demand tough powers for police to stop the bloodshed. Britain faces a summer of bloodshed unless swift action is taken to curb violent street crime. MPs warned last night we need to produce more lampposts. We are going to need more lampposts when we clear out this bloody establishment. The breast cancer revolution is what the Daily Mirror is talking about. Breakthrough means 5,000 British women a year will be spared chemo, which is coming back pretty much what James was saying. Oh, do you trust chemo? And I mean, I have to say, I personally, God forbid, I think I would be looking at alternative therapies. I think I'd be looking at cannabis oil, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's very tricky, but personally,
go
on, James. Go on.
There's a maple syrup, organic, obviously. There's bicarbonated soda. You mix them together.
Mm-hmm.
They get rid of what it does. Like you mix the bicarb with the maple.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it blows up the cancer cells, and cancer can only live in an acidic body. It can't live in it as
sugar,
an alkaline.
Doesn't like.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's sugar. Sugar is like a fuel for cancer as well, isn't it? But go on, James.
Yeah. That's why they put sugar. That's why they douse and everything with sugar. Do you like Heinz baked beans? Yeah. That's got high sugar content in it as well.
There was a story I've read earlier saying how processed sauces, or just sauces out of a tin, are more likely to be carcinogenic or to contribute to having cancer. And I mean, state the bleeding obvious. No shit, Sherlock. Guess what? Processed food is generally pretty crap. I'll tell you, we so need to have a debate about what we eat and what we shouldn't eat. And, maybe we label cigarettes. Why do we not label some of this stuff? And also have the debate about how do you make quality food? Charlotte Jameson, who's in the comments here tonight, was talking a bit about this. Maybe she wants to call in and give us her opinion. I know that she knows a lot about this. Basically, you got to eat healthy, but how do you afford to do it as well? Because a lot of this stuff is pretty expensive to buy. Anyway, okay, genetic tests.
The Bills of Exchange covers that one. You got to know it.
The Bills. Hold on, we're not going there now, James. We're not going there now.
Yeah, I know. That's why I just said it. That's why I just went straight.
Right. Okay. Now this leads us on to the story that I really wanted to talk about tonight, and to try and thrash out a bit, which is off the back of the very entertaining drama on the BBC over the course of the last 3 Sundays, a very British scandal about the Jeremy Thorpe affair with Norman Scott that led to the leader of the Liberal Party, as was Jeremy Thorpe, trying to kill the guy or have him killed. And it's actually hilarious, isn't it? Because Thorpe died a couple of years ago. Now, get the timing, yeah? Because it probably took them a couple of years to develop this. As soon as they die, yeah, it comes out like it did with Cyril Smith, who, by the way, was mentioned in that, one of the Liberals as well, who was praised by David Steele, not praised, but David Steele, when Cyril Smith was being accused of paedophilia, David Steele, who was another Liberal leader, and set up the SDP with David Owen. You might remember the sketches on Spitting Image, which were brilliant with those two. And David Steele said about Cyril Smith, all he did was smack their bottoms. He was shagging them up the arse, is what he was doing. And it was mass child rape was what that guy was doing. And must have been like being pounded by a bloody bulldozer. The guy was enormous. Absolutely horrible person. These people were both mentioned. These people were both mentioned in this drama on the BBC. My point being that the level of depravity in Westminster is just off the scale. It has been off the scale as far as we are aware. It still is. They still parachute in. Jeremy Corbyn parachuted in Tony Lloyd, the guy that covered up the 3 girls scandal, which turns out it wasn't 3 girls. It was more like 2,100 girls in Rotherham. The guy that was complicit, in my opinion, it seems to me, from what I understand of my research, Tony Lloyd, the police chief for Manchester, the second biggest force in the country, instead of being, investigated by the police and maybe should be in a jail cell now, he's roaming the Commons. He's a backbencher. He's an MP. He's a Labour MP. But then they've got form for this, haven't they? Because what was it? That Harriet bloody Harman. Do I mean Harriet? Yeah. Harriet Harman and her husband had links with Pi, the paedophile information exchange. What do they do with her? Do they investigate that? No. They made her the acting Labour leader. Before, I think it was Corbyn took over, or maybe it was before Miliband or Millipede or whatever.
Most of their constituencies are
unbelievable.
Muslim mayor MPs up and down the country. I saw something on it.
It doesn't mean they're paedophiles. We're talking about paedophiles here, mate. Look, okay. Just anyway. Okay, James. Look, okay. After insisting for years he was dead, police turn up on Jeremy Thorpe hitman's doorstep to find he's vanished. A very English farce. Now, this is hilarious. So a couple of years ago, Jeremy Thorpe cops it. He was never brought to justice. Neither were the folks that were complicit with him, such as that Chief Justice Cantley. Maybe I pronounced that right. Who basically let him off, who basically led the jury and told him how to, Peter Cook's sketch was brilliant. Maybe I'll play a little bit of that. I think I can on the basis of fair dealing, before, say, I don't know, the BBC makes another complaint like they did the other day, trying to get the show off the air. It's called Fair Dealing, BBC. I know you're spying on this show now. Bugger you! Don't pay for propaganda, people. Anyway, we'll talk about that later in the week. We're not going to get into the BBC campaign that I'm working on at the moment quite tonight so much. But anyway, so Jeremy Thorpe, he cops it, and then suddenly they're talking about this. Just as when Cyril Smith died, then it comes out about his paedophilia. Similar deal with Leon Breton. Yeah, I mean, basically he was on the end of his rope when, it came out about him. Same deal with Jana. He was demented or whatever. And then it comes out about him. And so on and so forth. It's just incredible, isn't it? When they die, then it comes out or whatever. But what about the people that were complicit? The people that knew? The people that knew about this depravity? In the case of Thorpe, so a couple of years ago, he cops it, and then, hey, we get this drama, which is produced. Would have taken a couple of years to put that drama together. They were waiting for him to die before they brought that out. So anyway, then they bring the drama out, and apparently only a year ago, MI5 had concluded that everybody connected with the case was dead. I heard this on the Andrew Marr show yesterday, where they were laughing about this. They weren't talking about the cover-up. They were talking about how funny various aspects were, like how Ben Whishaw was brilliant playing a camp guy. And he's awesome. Yeah, and Hugh Grant was incredible too. But that's not the point. The point is that British justice was perverted by the British establishment. That's the point. It's a cover-up. And how many more covers-up are there? Cover-ups are there? Yeah? Like, for example, the FCO 301048. It's just absolutely incredible. Anybody want to comment on that on Jitsu? Now, somebody's got their camera on. Please turn your camera off because it's not going to help for the upload, the download, and all that. Thank you. Go on, Jeff.
This is common modus operandi of the establishment. What they either do usually is they'll either, if it's files, for example, they'll put a 30-year or 70-year or 100-year thing where the files remain closed. Or if it's investigation files into corruption or something, they conveniently lose them all. This is the sort of thing goes on with the establishment, I've noticed. So, you're never going to get the truth. And if anything does come out, it's quickly sort of brushed under the carpet, so to speak. I've noticed that with the establishment.
Absolutely. The investigation into one of Britain's most notorious political scandals descended into total farce last night. Oh, yeah, sorry. This was my point of what I was trying to say. Was when the documentary finally comes out. Now, MI5 thought everybody had died. And then it turns out somebody Googled this guy. What was his name? Andrew Youpwn, the would-be assassin, the guy that shot Rinky, the dog, and that then went to shoot Norman Scott. And his gun, his Luger, jammed or whatever. And so would-be assassin, apparently he's still alive. Somebody Googled and found him. He's still alive. And now apparently they can't find him again. They don't want to find him, do they? They do not want to reopen that can of worms. I'll tell you that. Well, unless there is some other sort of a thing going on here and somebody actually did want to do the thing and knew he was still alive and kept it quiet. But it seems to me that's very unlikely. Unbelievable. So, but yeah, in an astonishing turn of events, police were first forced to admit that the prime suspect in the plot to kill Jeremy Thorpe's gay ex-lover is actually still alive. Then, when embarrassed officers raced to Andrew Newton's Surrey home to confront him yesterday, they found he had vanished, leaving the humiliated force empty-handed. Vanished or suicided? I don't know what. It's interesting. It's good that this story is out there, but people need to not just see it as entertaining drama. They've got to see what the British establishment is capable of, covering up to look after their own, exactly the same as they've done with all of these people. Another one that was mentioned in that drama, Clement Freud, again, copped it. Then they said, oh, he was a paedophile. BBC bloke again, yeah, did all that. What, Just a Minute with Nicholas Parsons in his nice blazer and all that. Anyway, yeah, incredible. Unbelievable. Okay, let's see what else is going on. I don't know. We got Bill Clinton in the news. He's just having a bit of a moan. I wouldn't have done anything differently in the Lewinsky scandal, even in the Me Too era. I think most of us just want to know, Bill, why you flew on Jeffrey Epstein, convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Express 26 times logged. Fact. What were you doing? Going to that pedo's love orgy island? Very odd. Anyway, he's having a moan just like his wife always does. I don't know. Anyway, we'll come back to cover-ups, and that's what we're talking about tonight. And I'm going to ask these guys, but just one other thing that is quite important as well for everybody to know, particularly if you're using Facebook. Facebook gave device makers deep access to data on users and friends. The company forced data sharing partnerships with Apple, Samsung, and dozens of other device makers, raising new concerns about its privacy protections. And as one guy made a great quote about this, which I put on my timeline earlier. What was it he said? Basically, it's like handing somebody the keys to a house. This is paraphrasing. It's like handing somebody the keys to their brand new home, and little do they know that you've also given the keys to a whole bunch of other people. You've given them a copy. What's the difference? What is the difference? Is your privacy not important? Bildergraph is going on about Grenfell Tower inquiry. Wouldn't it be nice if they concentrated as much on what happened in Manchester, and so on and so forth? Okay, all right, that's enough of that. Aye. So, people on Jitsi, what do you make of this Jeremy Thorpe scandal? And did you think that, yeah, it's good entertainment, but actually, you know what? There's a cover-up. Maybe really this should be in the remit less with BBC Entertainment and more in the remit of BBC News.
At least Stav, anyway. It's just another one of the many cover-ups, and like one of the biggest ones I think most people, well, some people may or may not know about, and that was Operation Ore, which Tony Blair issued up. Yeah.
Just remind us what Operation Ore was, please, Stav.
Well, it was an operation that was going on as regards mass paedophile rings, and also it started to uncover the establishment which was involved.
It's the one that busted Pete Townsend, wasn't it, from The Who?
Yeah.
Just
and many other things were connected to it as well, even the Dunblane massacre. So, I mean, I think maybe Michael might know a little bit more about the details. Perhaps, Michael?
This is about as big a cover-up as you can get, that Dunblane thing. And didn't Tony Blair put a D notice on Operation Ore? The suggestion being, as I understand it, there are at least 2 members of the cabinet that were on the list.
Yes, well, John Robinson, who was the ministry, in charge of the military at the time for the government, he was the one who signed the guy, and I can't remember his name, I expect to remember, the guy who committed the massacre and went into the school. He actually signed up his license for his guns. That's right.
And you're talking about Robertson, the Labour MP who's Lord Robertson now, no?
Yes, that's right.
To I don't know what. I'm not going to say what actually, because I don't think it's. I don't. Yeah. But there were links with that, and okay. So Operation Ore was basically an investigation into paedophiles. They snared about 3,000 around the UK, but Tony Blair put a D notice on that. Tony Miranda Blair, Tony Charles Linton Blair. Put a D notice on that, and the allegation being, Michael, maybe you can give us a bit more insight into this, that there were a couple of cabinet ministers that were supposed to have been on that list.
It wouldn't surprise me. It also wouldn't surprise me if there were front benches on there. These D notices, a lot of people seem to think they're sort of, oh no, you can't ignore those. Yes, you can. They're not actually legally enforceable. They just try to give you that impression. It's like a gentleman's agreement between the media and the government. But as we all now know, the media is controlled by the establishment. So it's all a for show, really. It's all an act, and people are getting fed up with it. And I mean, every time now, I mean, back up years ago, I used to think, oh, what's this? And now I kind of, oh, God, here we go again. People have had enough of it. It's so predictable. And they're just saying, look, just get hold of these kiddie fiddlers and throw them in the Thames. No, sorry, that's polluting the Thames. But string them up from Big Ben or something like that. They have just had enough. And in a minute, they're just going to say, right, we've had enough. Either get out of the Houses of Parliament, lock the doors, and we'll run the country. Oh, we're going to come in and get you and throw you out, whether you like it or not. But no, the public now have had enough. The Dunblane massacre. They tried to say, "Oh, the guy had mental health problems." No, because what they are finding with these shootings in America, they are beginning to find that MK Ultra has been involved in those, and the CIA have been. It's got their grubby mitts all over it. So yeah, do not sort of think these are nutters with a gun who have just kind of lost the plot. It's not. These are carefully planned. These are carefully planned things, and you can see what the Dunblane was. It was an excuse and a reason to de-arm the British people. So they succeeded with that one. Now they're trying it in other countries around the world to see if they can de-arm them. The Americans.
That's right. Actually, just to flesh that out, because that's a very important point. Because we've lost our guns, we've lost our protection. What they're trying to do in the States, of course, and that was part 2, Dunblane, of getting rid of our guns. They got rid of our handguns. Whoa, James. Part 1 was what happened in Hungerford, in Berkshire, where that nutter ran around with an assault rifle and guns down the high street and shot a bunch of people. And they got rid of what was it, semi-automatics or whatever. And then Dunblane was part 2, where they got rid of everything else. Is that correct, Michael?
Right. What you got to remember is assault rifles and handguns. Under the Firearms Act, the two that they look for mainly are Class 1, Section 1 and Section 5. Section 1, they're things like assault rifles, handguns, rifles. Shotguns have got their own section. But Section 5 are the ones I'm quite interested in, because that covers things like tasers and powder spray. And who uses powder spray and tasers? None other than PC Plot. Mm-hmm. Now, the amount of abuse of those things, I would say, having been an armed police officer myself in the past when I was with the Ministry of Defence Police, the majority of gun owners, as they were quite responsible people in this country. Most of the handguns were used and kept at gun clubs under very, very secure conditions. When we used to do inspections of people's shotgun lockers and their security, a lot of them took it very, very seriously. So trying to say, oh look, you've got one nutter who's gone and run amok. I think you'll find that one at Hungerford, same as Dunblane and probably the same as Sandy Hook and Columbine and all the others. You've got the security services involved in that, and they've done something to that person's mind to make them do that, because they just don't do that off the top of their head. I mean, people with who become psychotic, they're more likely to try and kill themselves than they are other people.
Do you think that? When you look at, for example, that guy that did the shooting in the States at I think it was the Aurora Cinema, at the opening, the first night or whatever of Batman Returns or something like that. Well, the Dark Knight, and that guy, the guy with the ginger hair, kind of frazzled. He looked psychotic, but he looked as though he was on serious mind-inducing drugs when he. Do you think? My question to you, sir. Do you think that these people are being manipulated by? You mentioned MK Ultra, for example. I don't know whether it would be them, or do you think that people are being used as pawns, taken their innate abilities to control themselves being taken away, and somehow being zombieized, if you like, into doing things against their will, including shooting up schools, movie theaters, possibly the Hungerford massacre? I don't know. Possibly what happened in Dunblane. What are your thoughts on that?
Right. Let's start with the guy with the ginger hair sitting in that courtroom.
Yes.
The court, when looking at him, he was absolutely off his head on that stuff. So yeah, something being done to him. Whether he'd been given antipsychotic drugs or not, I just do not know. But somebody just, like I said, somebody just doesn't go out one day and say, "Oh, I'm going to shoot up an entire cinema," or "I'm going to go and plant a bomb somewhere." Something has made them do it, or someone has made them do it. Now, we had a case down here in the southwest of England where some guy was radicalised and he went into a cafe in Exeter, and he went into the toilet of this cafe, I think it was Princess, and he let off a bomb. He ended up singeing his eyebrows more than hurting anybody, but the guy had, I think he was autistic, and they sling him in jail, and you're thinking, that is something seriously wrong here, trying to use him as it's the usual, the conditioning that they try to do. Oh, people with autism are dangerous. They're not actually. They just see the world in a different way to what we do. But with things like Columbine, Sandy Hook, and all of those, and those, yeah, you're not going to get people that just kind of become psychotic. I mean, with psychosis, is normally something that has been going on. Usually they're caused by stress or extreme trauma. So when they start saying, "Oh no, this person was on drugs and all this," no, so that is a story they're putting up to sort of cover the fact that it was government agents. No, with the Boston bombings, no, they know that was those were not terrorists. That is no, that was done by the CIA and the others.
What, the Boston? What you mean? You mean the pressure?
Yeah, well,
the pressure
they saw
cooker?
them with rucksacks, men with rucksacks. There about a few hours before the bomb went off.
What you mean? You mean the pressure?
Yeah, well,
Oh.
Yeah, hold on, let's put it back.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah,
Sorry, Michael. Yeah, the one with the pressure cookers.
Terrorist ones they're setups. They're false flags. They try to blame the Muslims. They try to blame other ones like Al Qaeda. Well, we all know that Al Qaeda was an invention of the West. It was.
That's right. It actually means the list, doesn't it? And it was the CIA's list of operatives in Afghanistan. The Mujahideen fighting the Russians originally.
That's right.
And Tim Osman was one of their main guys. And guess who he turned out to be? Osama bin Laden.
Oh, Osama bin Laden. Yeah, you're right. He was one of their assets.
That's right.
And another thing is
they trained him. The CIA trained him. Sorry, carry on, sir.
Yeah, another thing has come out all these years later. If you can remember the IRA that were bombing the mainland Britain, this come out that the commander-in-chief of that was an MI5 officer. It came out that it was the British government attacking its own people, trying to justify, oh, you've got to give up your rights to keep safe. No, unfortunately, none of that's come out. Yeah, I'm beginning to think well, I won't repeat it because I'm using fairly strong language, which will get me probably shut down or get this just shut down as well. But no, I mean, no, that is getting around. People are beginning to get very, very angry with the politicians. And they are also beginning to get very anti-armed forces, very anti-security services. I don't think it's going to be long before it's going to be dangerous to kind of tell someone you work in the security services or you're in the armed forces, because you are going to get attacked.
Olly.
Because I'll say, after what you lot did, and also what's coming up as well, we're getting these undercover police officers who've been kind of living a double life. Yeah, there's also evidence of agile provocateurs. The Croydon riots. Now, the Croydon riots, they tried to make out those were kind of looters. Oh, they're from this community. Oh, no, it wasn't, because some coppers noticed some guys with Blackberries. They were coloured blokes with Blackberries, and when they managed to grab one of these people, they found it was ready MI5. They were coordinating the rioting. It was all stage managed, and it's like everything you get. The one on the bridge with the guy with the truck, stage man.
London Bridge.
They got rid of him pretty damn quick because they knew if he.
Oh, sorry. Was that Westminster or was that the Borough Market one where they started on the bridge? Carry on. Anyway.
That's where it went across Westminster Bridge.
Right.
And it allegedly mowed down somebody. Well, the thing is, it's very funny how they suddenly shot him very conveniently, very quickly. But that's what they always do. They do that to make sure that they can't be deprogrammed and then spill the beans on what's going on.
Do you? From what you've said, Michael, do you disagree with, for example, I can't remember the guy's name, but the ex-chief of some security services in the UK. It wasn't MI5, it wasn't MI6, I don't think it was anyway, but something like that. He said that there were something like 3,000 jihadists in the UK or something, or maybe it was him that said 20,000. The figure was, it went from 3,000 to 21,000 or something within a day. But somebody said it was that kind of figure. Would you say that actually the problem is not these, I don't know, Wahhabists, Salafists, for example, so much as a few people that are being, if you like, pawned by malfeasant forces within the British establishment? Is that what you're saying?
Well, let's put it this way. Some of these Muslim refugees that have come into the country, one of the rules there under international conventions on the rights of refugees is if you are displaced from your own country because of armed conflict, you are supposed to report to the authorities in the first safe country you come to.
Yes.
Normally a country that has signed that convention.
That's right.
Well, it's very strange how a load of them just suddenly bypassed France. They bypassed Spain.
Well, they're being flown in, aren't they, in the middle of the night, apparently?
Yeah,
Hold on a sec.
And we all know who's behind that. Yeah,
Michael.
He looks like a toad, and his name's George Soros, and they found that he is behind a lot of it. That guy needs to be arrested, taken to the Hague, and then sentenced to the rest of his life in jail. He's a menace to mankind. And I know I'm going to irate, but he really does piss me off, that guy.
Who else would like to comment on that? I've got a couple of other questions from what you said there. I want to concentrate a wee bit on Michael O tonight because he's never been on the show before, and obviously he has a unique perspective, being Metropolitan Police and ex-MOD. But yeah, go on, Jeff. You were going to say something. What's your riposte?
Hi, Ollie. Yeah, there's an awful lot of scandals, actually. It's the list is quite unbelievable. Have you heard of Robin Cook and John Smith?
Yeah.
Because there's scandals surrounding those people. A lot of people believe that they were bumped off. Robin Cook was the guy that
who quit over Iraq. He was the one member of that cabinet, apart from Claire Short, but I thought that her resignation was a bit cynical. His resignation speech, Robin Cook's, I'll tell you, it was absolutely awesome. That guy was one of my political heroes. I got to say, a true statesman. And his resignation speech, you know what? I might just play some of it because it was just absolutely incredible. Carry on. Yeah, and some people reckon that he was knocked off. A bit of a David Kelly. And John Smith, who, again, he seemed like a decent guy in politics for a change. And he had a very convenient heart attack that led in the bloody Blairites. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Convenient heart attacks, isn't it? John Smith, as many people will know, he was briefly leader of the Labour Party. And Robin Cook, he was something to do with the intelligence services, wasn't he? But he blew the whistle on Al Qaeda being a code.
No, that's David Kelly you're thinking about. Robin Cook was the cabinet minister. He was the foreign secretary, and he quit over Iraq.
He blew the thing on Al Qaeda being a code name for a CIA database or something, wasn't it?
David Kelly, did he?
No, Robin Cook. Robin Cook. And then Robin Cook had a heart attack while he was out on the Highlands, doing hiking on the Highlands or something like that. But there's a lot of people say it's very suspicious circumstances and all that. So I don't know. I mean, whether these are genuine conspiracies or what. But a lot of people think that John Smith and Robin Cook were both bumped off.
Well, it was very, very convenient that they were out of the way. We seem to have lots of people on Jitsi now, but I don't know who is who, because it just says like somebody, fellow Jitser. I don't know who's who. So how do I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to work this thing yet. But we've got somebody here with an icon with blue hair. Who are you, darling? Probably doesn't even realize her icon has got blue hair. Is there somebody who hasn't? Okay, this is a bit, trying new tech here. Who hasn't spoken that would like to make a comment? You'll be very, very welcome, and I don't want to miss anybody out.
It's probably me, Ollie. I'm not. I don't know if it's me. I've got blue hair. It's Carl. How are you doing?
Hey, Carl. Carl, hello, mate. How are you, sir? Carl
Very
Stevens.
Well,
God bless you, mate.
It's beyond me, this, about what you're teaching me tonight, I must admit. So I'm keeping quiet and going to take this one in because it's I've not really come across this very much.
All right, Carl. No, it's always lovely to have you around, mate. And he's a bit of a voice of reason, is our Carl, as well. Who else is here that hasn't spoken? And you please forgive me. I will organise this somehow so that I know who is who. But at the moment, it's a bit bun fight. Who hasn't spoken that would like to make a point?
One thing I will say about David Kelly, Ollie.
Michael, go on.
That is beginning to look more and more that he knew what was going on with those with the weapons of mass destruction and the gas stuff in Iraq, and they said, he committed suicide, and there was a lot of it was totally, it just defied the laws of physics. It defied this, that, and the other. It's medical records. No, it's like criminal. I noticed when I was in the police, criminals behave in a certain way. They say to catch a criminal, you have to think like one, and that is how we were taught when I did my police training at Hendon. You were taught to think like a criminal to catch the criminals. What they do is they start off and they're quite careful, but then they start to get confident, and then they start to make little tiny mistakes that nobody notices. Well, then they start to get a bit cocky, and then they start making mistakes that a few people notice, but then they start to make more and more mistakes and bigger mistakes that more and more people notice until they get to the stage where they make almighty cock-ups and everybody notices, and that's the point at which they get caught. This is what is happening with the establishment. They are beginning to make massive blunders in what they're saying, and they are going to get caught, whether they like it or not. I don't care if you get into this. I've said this before, so they probably have said it before. They're going to get caught.
Do you think that they made a mistake making this documentary about Jeremy Thorpe? This drama.
I think the timing of it is it's designed as a distraction for the next act of pantomime, and I call it pantomime. Though it's like a pantomime. With what's her name, Theresa May as the widow Twanky. She behaves like a pantomime thing. I mean,
she gurns like a pantomime.
I call her Madam Mim May because she looks like that Madam Mim from the Disney's Cinderella. She reminds me very much. She put the two pictures together, separated at birth, sort of thing. But no, I mean, it's getting to the point now where it's the whole thing's just falling apart, and she knows it, and she's desperately trying to hold everything together because her masters in the city are saying, "Oh, you've got to hold it all together. We can't do this, and we can't. Our plan's falling to pieces." And she's trying desperately to hold it. She's getting more and more threatening, and people are just going, "You're nuts, lady." But one thing I will say, and this is on a more serious note, if you look at the colour of her skin, it's got a slightly greyish tinge to it. Now, a friend of mine who retired from practice as a lawyer about 18 months ago. Before that, she was a doctor, and she spotted it, and she said, "I can tell you exactly what that is." And she said, "I'll tell you why." She has type 1 diabetes. Her kidneys are failing.
Really?
The mother, towards the end of her life.
Let's hope they fail quick. Sorry. Yeah. That's not a very nice thing to say, is it? But I'll tell you, she's such a useless
I'm going to explain why.
Go on.
One, a complication of diabetes is something called vascular dementia. And my mother developed this towards the end of her life. And it creeps up on you. And you seem sort of okay for a while. But then you start to sort of sound a little bit, something wrong here. And then it doesn't. It's got a slower progression than Alzheimer's, because what you've got is the diabetes eating away at the brain, whereas with Alzheimer's it's a fairly rapid progression. But this is one thing that they're going to have to watch with her, because her kidneys are beginning to fail because of that colouring on her skin. She's going to have to give up politics eventually. Have to give it up. Her health will force her to give up. My concern is, who is going to replace her? Are we going to have someone who is quite extreme? Are we going to have someone who's going to say, right, we need to kind of draw a line in the sand and leave those days behind us? But no, there's two things we need to remember with Theresa May. A, she has got type 1 diabetes, which can cause this vascular dementia, but also her kidneys are beginning to fail. It's going to be sooner rather than later when she has to give it up because of her health.
How do you know this?
Who's that? Is that Simon Dawson?
Yes. How do you know this? Have you got proof of this?
Friend of mine, like I said, is she was a doctor before she became a lawyer, and she could see it from the colouring of her skin. She said that is a sign that her kidneys are failing. And one thing you'll get with type 1 diabetes is the kidneys will start to fail. My mother had type 2 diabetes, and her kidneys started to fail first. Yeah, and then your major organs slowly begin to shut down. But one of the complications of diabetes is this vascular dementia, and it's like watching Alzheimer's in slow motion.
Okay,
I understand that. Do you understand that she has a chain around her neck, and she's showing the chains around her neck every time she comes in front of every television?
She does like these big pearl earring necklaces and stuff like that, doesn't she? Yeah. She always wears chunky around her neck.
That to me is telling us that she's chained, and that is a symbol. That's a symbol to me. That is a symbol of that she's chained, and she can do nothing. She can do jack shit.
I tell you, I think we ought to have her chained up. Let's take a few comments from our commentators, and then Simon, if you'd like to chuck in a few more comments, that'd be great. I'm extending the show a little bit today because of all these technical hassle that we had. So we'll go for about another 10 minutes. Marag Hamilton Reddy says, I think they like to show what they've done. Everything is hidden in plain sight. Marag, I think you're absolutely right. I think you're so right. And it's almost like they're showing off and boasting. It's a little bit like Jean-Claude Trichet told us that the EU was a cornerstone of a global government, boasting that the Bilderberg had set it up. Same deal with Jacques Delors. Basically said the same thing. Anne-Marie Wildman said, desperate for their NWO. Good will always win over evil, says Gail Marie Gandy. God bless you, Gail. David Laddie, their day is coming. And they drop stuff in your tea for a heart attack, says Thomas White. Hey, Thomas. And I know Thomas was trying to get on. He's even more of a technophobe than, anybody else on this show. And that's saying something. And he was trying to get on here. Look, all you need to do, Thomas, is guv.li/123. But it is a bit chaotic tonight, so I don't know. Maybe tomorrow. Actually, Michael, I was wondering, would you be interested? Would you like to do a show specifically about the state of UK policing now. Maybe tomorrow night. Would you be interested in doing that?
Yes. Yeah, that'd be just up my street, so to speak.
That is a show I would really, really like to do. There is so much to get into there. We'll talk about that a bit later then. Thank you. David Laddie says, how can Soros be allowed to interfere in our politics? You know, in the States, they've got this thing. It's a little bit different, but it's kind of along these lines. They've got this act called the Logan Act, whereby their politicians are not allowed by law, not saying they don't do it, but they're not allowed by law to basically have political relations with foreigners. And you compare that to what's happening with Soros, who's in with this new political party with these millipede brothers or whatever, and bloody Blair and all that. And we need something like a Logan Act to say UK politics is UK based, and it should be the same in every country. They should be looking out for their own, at least then their citizens know where they stand, for God's sake. Of course, the Logan Act was broken in the United States famously by Hillary Clinton, who just happened to be on the Saudi payroll and the Qatar payroll. When she was telling us all about Trump's Russians, which never amounted to a hill of beans. Anne-Marie Wildman says, CIA have a heart attack gun. Let me just get some of these comments out, because these folks, bless them, they put these comments in and I haven't read any out. David Laddie says, how can and John Middleton, accessory to fraud, perjury, treason and malfeasance to future emotional home of English subjects by letting all the cultures come into the land and disrupt it. John Middleton says malfeasance in public office. Paul Hart just points out another cover-up, in my opinion anyway, Jill Dando. Yeah. Anybody got any thoughts on that? Is a huge cover-up, it seems to me. Jill Dando and what she knew.
Ollie, I was just going to mention something, actually.
Well, hold on. Whoa. Can anybody answer my question?
On Jill Dando?
Yes.
Oh boy, you don't want to know.
Go on, Simon. Give us a summary, please.
Well,
just for anybody that doesn't know, because this is really something that should be researched. Go on.
Jill Dando were killed for finding out the paedophilic in
allegedly, yeah, but nonetheless.
Allegedly into the Crown. And that's why she
VIP paedophilia at the very highest level. In other words, Savile's links with, we know for a fact, Prince Charles, Prince Philip, Louis Mountbatten, no?
Correct, my friend.
Yeah, and also, does it not also...
We're not going any further than that. We cannot go any further than that. And you do not say anything further than that. That's how far it went. And she was killed.
What we can also say is that there are also suspicions raised about, for example, Childline, which has very close links to the BBC. Esther Ranson's charity, which I have heard, and this is allegedly, but I would like Esther Ranson to come on the show and have a chat about it. She's very welcome. I held the door for her once, and she just looked at me as though I was, something on the bottom of your shoe. That's not to say. Look, but Childline, I have heard, was set up as a screening tool, so that if kids phoned up and said I'd been abused by somebody who was part of the establishment, then it wouldn't go any further. I don't know how much.
It's all done.
Have you heard
it's all
anything
done
about
through
that,
the councils, Ali. It's all done through the councils. It's all done through the establishment and the media. It's all controlled and designed to work as it is, and that's what's happening. And this is what the people have woke up to, and this is what's happening. This is what's going to take place, and it's going to take place. Furthermore, this is why they're putting Tommy Robinson away. This is why they're putting every freedom of speech away. This is what's happening now because the people are waking up to this corruption on paedophilia, the corruption on every fines, council tax, everything. It all relates to manipulation and fear to the public. That's my rant over.
Yeah.
I think
there is something I'll say about council tax. It came out recently, and I am looking into it, along with a few others, that what has been happening with these so-called, well, we know about the scam they run with these court hearings. One council officer in one particular council let drop during a telephone conversation, the liability has already been signed, and it's going straight to the bailiffs, and the person says, sorry, you sent me a summons here and the hearing isn't until next Tuesday. Yeah, well, a couple of years ago, I was a Mackenzie friend to somebody in the county court, and the council were trying to get a charging order on this person's house. And the judge said, right, where are the liability orders? Because to get a charging order, they had to have 3 liability orders. And the girl from the council produced them, and immediately I looked at them. I spotted something was not completely kosher about them. And I looked at the judge and I said, excuse me, sir, I said, I have reason to question the authenticity of these orders. He said, oh, comes out from behind his desk, and I turned them around so he could see it. I said, there's no date on that signature. And he went, yeah, you're right. He said, there should be. I said, yeah. I said, when I was in the police, I said, whenever we did a report or a statement, we always dated, we signed it and then dated it. So whoever read that would know that that signature was put there on that date. And yeah, he said, you're perfectly right. And he went back down his at the desk in the hearing room, and he told the person I was helping. He said, right. He said, I want you to go back to the magistrates' court, get these quashed. He said, and come back here. He said, I'm going to strike at the council's charging order. And this girl from the council's going, you can't do that. He said, yes, I can, and be quiet. Damn good judge he was, but no, this is what is happening. If what is being found to be was let slip, if that is going on, that means people can now turn around and sue the butts of local government. It could well signal the end of local government, and that's where the central government are going to lose their control system.
My word. Look, Michael, we need. I'm going to have to wrap this show, folks, but we need to carry on and with some of this tomorrow. We need to sort out your headsets, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Just you and I privately, if we may. Look, but I want to close the show by playing what to me is more newsworthy. I'm playing this on a fair dealing basis. Yeah. If anybody is wondering what that means, don't worry about it. But that's a little note to any copyright folks. This is very, very relevant. Yeah, that drama, what we saw, a very British scandal. They did show quite a bit actually of that judge summing up and leading the jury. They showed how that happened, but you know what? They did it. 40 years. Too late. I want to show you a guy, my comedy hero, who exposed this back in the 70s. God bless him. I think it was at the Secret Policeman's Ball, and just absolutely awesome. Watch this. Now, this is basically Peter Cook satirizing Chief Justice Cantley, and Cantley. I think I pronounced that right. This is him satirizing that judge, and it really just sums up what happened in that courtroom when the British establishment was let off the hook.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is my duty to advise you.
This is a 7-minute piece. I want you to listen to this carefully. This is awesome.
How you should vote when you retire from this court. In the last few weeks, we all heard some pretty extraordinary allegations being made about one of the prettiest, about one of the most distinguished politicians ever to rise to high office in this country, or not, as you may think. We have heard, for example, from Mr. Bexbissel, a man who, by his own admission, is a liar, a humbug, a hypocrite, a vagabond, a loathsome spotted reptile. And a self-confessed chicken strangler. You may choose, if you wish, to believe the transparent tissue of odious lies which streamed on and on from his disgusting, greedy, slavering lips. That is entirely a matter for you. We have been forced to listen to the testimony of Mr. Norma St. John Scott. A scoundrel, parasite, pervert, a worm, a self-confessed player of the pink oboe, a man or woman who, by his or her own admission, chews pillows, for kicks. You may believe him to be a vile, discredited, and embittered man, a more unreliable witness upon whose testimony to convict a man you may rightly think should have become Prime Minister of this country or President of the world. You may, on the other hand, choose to believe Mrs. Scott, in which case I can only say that you need psychiatric help. Of the type provided by Dr. Gleadle and the Gleadle turns. Over the evidence of the so-called hitman, Mr. Olivia Newton-John, I prefer to draw a discreet veil. He is, as we know, a man with a criminal past, but no criminal future. He's a piece of order, a piece of excrement, unable to carry out a simple murder plot without cocking the whole thing up. Now we turn to the evidence about the money. Now we've heard from Mr. Jack Hayward and Mr. Nadia Rickshaw, neither of whom, as far as I can gather, are complete and utter crooks. Though the latter is foreign, and is the thought, you might well think, would boil up poisonous biryanis in the middle of the night and keep you awake with his pagan limbo dancing. It is conceded by the defense that the money arrived. What happened to that, we shall never know. That is his affair, and it is not for us to pry. It will be a sad day for this country when a leading politician cannot spend his election expenses in any way he sees fit. One further point. You will have noticed that 3 of the defendants have chosen very wisely to exercise their inalienable right not to go into the witness box to answer a lot of impertinent questions. I will merely say that you are not to infer anything from this other than that they consider the evidence against them so flimsy that it was scarcely worth rising from their seats and wasting breath denying these ludicrous charges. Finally, I'd like to pay a personal tribute to Mr. Thorpe's husband, Miriam, who has stood by him throughout this long and unnecessary ordeal. I know you'll join with me in wishing them well for a long and happy future. You are now to retire, as indeed should I. You are now to retire.
Well done.
Hold on.
Carefully to consider your verdict of not guilty.
That was a good speech, Olly.
Be quiet, be quiet. The late, great Peter Cook, who did more services for journalism than the whole of the bloody BBC ever.
Olly.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, my man?
Oh, I'll tell you what, Peter Cook. Yeah, Simon, I can, sir. Yes. What?
Right, I can give you a full demo on council tax fraud from start to finish.
Hold on, this isn't
evening.
relevant right now. Tell me about this after the show. God bless you.
Okay.
I want to say a big, big cheers to everybody that persevered tonight, yeah, because it was a nightmare getting this show on the road. I don't know what happened with D-Live. I'll try again tomorrow. And thank you, everybody on Jitsi. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. I think Jitsi has got great potential. It's definitely easier to call in. It's a bit more chaotic, but then so was Discord at first. I'll tell you what. You know what? Satire is so important. Peter Cook set up Private Eye, yeah, before Ian Hislop ruined it and turned it into a politically correct load of old crap. Peter Cook must be turning in his grave or what's happened to Private Eye. They don't like comedy. They don't like it, Upham! We've got to keep laughing at them, people. Yeah, so tomorrow, Michael O is going to be talking about the state of UK policing. I've got Godfrey Bloom coming in later this week too. That'll be great, huh? Yeah, looking forward to that. And I'm hoping that Bill Etheridge is going to come in to explain that very interesting post that he put on Facebook yesterday about his relations with Gerard Batten now. Morag Hamilton Reddy says, soon satire won't be allowed. Yeah, Morag, you're right. State of British comedy today is absolutely dismal. Dismal. We got to get that back. So yeah, back tomorrow at 7. Hopefully a slightly less chaotic show and hopefully a little bit less stressful on the technical side. This has been Daily Chaos. I am Olly Connelly. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Here's to us and bugger plutocracy! Tell you what. I've got to change this.
And there is